Morning all. Who do we have here? Morning. Oriagani, morning. Lynette Harris, morning. Lynette. J Dimple, 66, morning. Morning, Arlene. Cyril Miyas, morning, sir. Pamela O'Connor, morning, Pamela. Gillian Jackson, morning to you. Patty Kutu, morning. Leon Graves, morning, sir. Ruben Rogers, morning. Maureen Washington Smith, morning, Maureen. Priscilla Holder, morning. Gillian Timmerman, morning, Gillian. Margaret Thomas, morning. Marge France, morning. Natalie F. Juanita Nesbitt. Kay Burrell, morning, guys. Jennifer Nicholas, morning. Alberta Sampat, morning. Alberta Ruth Shrewd. Carol Boyce John. Who else we have there? Let's see. Gail Jack. Holly Legall, morning, Holly. Annette Beard, Annette Neptune, Mindful Consumer, morning to all of you. Patricia Comina, Kennedy Joseph, Marlene Panton, Marilyn McAllister, Marianne Edwards, and Marie Arthur, morning to all of you. On Facebook, we have Gemma White Isaac, morning, Gemma. Morning, Diane. Rudolph Barnett, morning, sir. Jennifer Nathan, morning, Jennifer. Alison Boyce, morning. Emmeline Harvey, morning to you. D. Nice, morning. Lestrade Matters. Bernadette Beryl Yates, Jennifer Dorset, morning to all of you folks. Haven't seen Carol Myers. Where's Carol this morning? We say in advance good morning to His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Pleasantville, and Nigel O'Connor, and First Lady Marissa Kagan. Donna Seeley, morning, Donna. Arlene Stewart, morning. Linda Supreme, morning. Joy George, Wazid, Udani Bruce, morning, guys. Truth Speaker 27, morning to you. Leon, morning to you. How is the weather up on your side this morning? Will Durant, morning, Will. Let's see. So let me get this here. Make sure this is. Bless one, morning. Joy Raghunanan, morning, Joy. Ashton Clark, morning, sir. Sarah Richards, morning, Sarah. Right, so yeah, I'm late again this morning, but couldn't be helped. It's another busy day. So let me jump into it. Of course, one of the stories that might have fallen under the radar as a result of the other discussions, other topics of discussions that have been given prominence. The public domain. The citizenry just can't catch a break. And the media, willing accomplices of the opposition UNC, are more than happy to misrepresent everything to the government's disadvantage. So it is left to us to provide the truth. So let us get into it. Ruth Fronten, morning. Ian, Michael Glowden, morning. Jennifer Frederick, morning. Jenny, Sandra G. Thomas, morning. Zion Genesis, morning to you. Elizabeth Lakai. Terence Swan, morning, sir. Glenn Richardson, morning. Leon says the weather is nice up on Toko side. That is good. Right, so we'll deal with the lighter stuff first. Crocro can appeal Inshan Ishmael slander ruling. Four-time Calypso monarch Winston Crocro Rollins will be allowed to appeal a judge's ruling, which found him guilty of slandering businessman Inshan Ishmael in a public performance. Justice of Appeal James Aboud granted Rollins his application for an extension of time to file the record of appeal. Ishmael's attorneys had filed an application for the dismissal of the Calypsonian's notice of appeal because it was not filed within 3 months of Justice Frank C. Prasad's ruling on January 29th. C. Prasad had ruled Rollins abused his creative license in his 2023 Calypso. Another sat is outside again in response to Ishmael's statements about people in Laventille and Bethel. In ruling, Aboud weighed procedural delays against the broader implications of the case for Trinidad and Tobago's cultural traditions. And he noted that while Rollins' legal team, which included 2 senior counsels, should have adhered to court timelines, the appeal raised significant cultural and legal questions. The demarcations between our Calypso's historic, satiric, and comedic commentary and the rules of strict journalism need to be delineated by our higher courts, Aboud remarked. And the appeal also challenges the trial judge's elevation of Crocro's song words from slander to libel, a legal distinction with broader implications for artists and performers. Aboud expressed doubts about the correctness of reaching this conclusion without reviewing the full notes of evidence which had not yet been made available. I do not, at first blush, see how a slander can be elevated to a libel in the circumstances of this case. Damages for libel vastly exceed those for slander. If this elevation of slander to a libel remained in our law books, then our Calypsonians would be restricted by this judgment in any live performance, whether at a private party among friends or at a public performance. Any poet or minstrel would likewise be constrained during the expression of his or her art if someone unexpectedly pulled out a camera phone. I am therefore unable on the evidence before me and without sight of the transcript of the evidence to comment on whether the song words can be elevated from slander to libel. In my opinion, on the basis of the limited evidence, it cannot be said that there are no good prospects of success on the appeal of his point, and it seems to me that the prospects of appeal are not perfect, but are arguable, Aboud said. While emphasizing the need for procedural discipline, he highlighted the importance of advancing jurisprudence and ensuring proportionality. He further noted that while he had doubts that a tortious slander can be elevated to a libel by the publication of a slander by a third party on his mobile phone to persons unknown, Calypsonians were not to be equated with journalists reporting news, but entertainers using wit and sometimes pointed innuendo. Lines need to be drawn. He went on to say, without sight of the unfiled record of appeal and importantly, the transcript of the notes of evidence, whether Justice C. Prasad was right or wrong in his legal or factual submissions. He goes on to say, this is, on the submitted evidence, I have difficulty accepting that these conclusions are correct without the forensic interrogation of an appeal. So basically, Justice Aboud is taking issue with the judgment of Justice Frank C. Prasad. And anybody who would have read that judgment would be inclined to agree with Justice Aboud, because I would have read the judgment, not in its entirety, but just the snippets that I read. I felt Crocro did not receive a fair judgment in that, for instance, where Justice C. Prasad did not ask or did not require Inshan Ishmael to provide proof of his claims that his business would have lost over $100,000 a month or something, so because of calls by Crocro and others to boycott his business in the week of the things that he said about Karim Marcel, right? And I've made the point before that while he told the court he would have lost over $100,000 in business per month because of boycott calls, and he wasn't required to provide that evidence. The day, I think it was the same day or the day after the judgment was handed down, in which he was awarded the $250,000 on his Breaking Barriers program, he said, standing next to his attorney who should have advised him otherwise, he said that there were calls for boycott, and the more they call for boycott is the more business comes, and the more people come and support his business, and is the more money he makes. And he was saying, so keep calling for boycott. Keep calling for boycott. So basically he lied, because you told the court the boycott calls cost you money, but then you come on your program on national television and saying the boycott calls actually made you money. So I hope that Crocro and his attorneys, who I see here, 2 of which are Gilbert Peterson, Senior Counsel, and Karim Marcel, who was the subject of his Calypso, alongside, we know the situation with that they would take note of that fact and raise it at the appeal stage and perhaps cross-examine Mr. Ishmael and challenge him. Did you lie to the court, or were you lying on your television program, because clearly it's divergent views, divergent opinions, different statements, totally contradictory. So one has to be a lie. It's either you lie to the court, and if you made that statement under oath, then you're looking at a perjury charge, or you lied on your television program, in which case you need to let your viewers know and your followers and your supporters know that you're a damn liar. Okay, so I think Crocro has very good grounds to win this matter. On appeal, interestingly, every time Ishmael goes to court and the outcome is in his favor, he's quick to run on Facebook and post up. I saw recently he had a case. This guy who goes by the name Builder Boys Construction sued him for slander, I think it was, and the guy lost. And Ishmael was most happy to come on Facebook and highlight that. But yet still, I visited his Facebook page yesterday and nothing of this development. You must do hide it. You like to beat your chest. The court favors you. Well, all right, you should talk about this too. All the time. Crocro win your money and he ain't paying you your money and you want your money and you will look to levy on his plate. Right. Now you have Justice Aboud, who is a court of appeal judge, right? Saying here what basically, I don't necessarily agree with what my colleague in the lower court, his judgment on this matter. Okay? And then one wonders why Justice Sipasad is not on the Court of Appeal bench, despite his desire, his well-known desire, so to be. Right? But yeah, when it is that sometimes he gets it right. I'm not going to be completely, dismissive or biased, but sometimes he gets it right, and times when he gets it wrong. And in my view, this was one of those times where he got it wrong. So good luck to Crocro. So I'm seeing someone sent me something here saying the case will be heard tomorrow. Well, that'd be great. Get this out anyway as quick as possible. But it is good. Despite the things people say about the court, I think Crocro made a good decision in appealing this matter. And we'll see where it goes from here. Right? But there's ample evidence out there, as I said. The man shot himself in the foot when he lied. I think lots of other things, if one reads that judgment, you'd see it's questionable. Some of the things that the positions taken by Justice Sipasad. But for some reason, they love to give him cases. His name always in the papers, this case, that case. In fact, we must not forget he's the judge assigned the EMBD matter involving Rudal Munilal and others, right? And he has indicated this is the oldest case he has on his docket, and he's not a man to leave cases for long. So there seems to be a desire on his part to have this matter expedited. So hopefully, Mr. Munilal would have filed his defense. I would like to think that he has, and this matter can proceed. All right, so we will see where that goes. So, let me put on this thing here. So something I came across something I wanted to play.
I don't care what nobody say.
Let me get this now. Right. All right, let me see which one. Now, let me get this here. All right, let me make sure. From time to time I come across these things, let's see if I could find it. Just 1 second. Well, bear with me. No, that's not what I wanted. All right. Get this thing. There's so many things I just want to save and so many things, but just to get this, where is it? Right. 99% of 1%. I'll find that one. Just let me get this here. Right. Hopefully I find it. Okay. Let me just get this one more thing here. Let's see. All right, that's what I'm looking for. Bear with me. Sometimes, yeah. Where is it? Where is it? She looked like a crazy person, but anyway, plenty of them out there. Yes. There we go.
When I hear my goodly Prime Minister, Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley, stand in Parliament and say that the current bullying in schools pose...
No, it's not that one. This one. Let me get this one. Hold on your horses. 1 sec. Let me see. Yeah, I think it's that one. No. Let's know. Let's see here. Let's know. Just now, folks, come on 1 sec. I need. Is that the right one, boy? Okay, let's see. It seems so.
When I hear my goodly Prime Minister, Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley, stand in Parliament and say that the current bullying in schools pose decline of our society and increase in abuse amongst women and children has nothing to do with him nor his government. I can't help but scoff and laugh at the audacity of this man's ignorance. Let me explain why. PNM was formed in 1956. This party has been around more than we have been independent. They have served in government more than any other party and have been a fabric of our Trinidad and Tobago society since we as an independent society was formed. PNM has created a culture and a society of persons that look for handouts, are mindless, mindless, senseless society. They have used all sorts of ignoramus and ridiculous, low level and seedy avenues in order to maintain their governments, from race to, to ethnicity to socio-economic standing in society. They are they have been dividing and ruling. Now I'm not going to tell anybody who to vote for, but in this year, look at the amount of persons that have died. Look at the increase in gang. Look at the increase in violence against women. Look at the increase in missing persons. Look at the increase in violence as a whole. Imagine a secondary school has 9 gangs, and the police are aware of it, and nothing is being done. You said you can sit and be quiet and not bother about where you put your ex by. But I most definitely will not be putting my ex next to the PNM.
And the PNM don't want your ex. You could keep your ex. Right? And the only thing one can glean from that clip there, somebody decided, well, I'm going to do a live on TikTok. Let me go through my dictionary and look for some big words so I could appear bright and sound bright. But using big words, madam, doesn't change the fact that you're dumb. All right? We are all dumber for having listened to you and the nonsense that you just talked there. This is the kind of things that circulate. I mean, she got 51,000 views for that, almost 52,000 views. How much likes and so forth. Let's see, she has her following in great. She has just over 1,000 followers. But I mean, this is the level of idiocy that is prevailing out there. And they know the right platform. Well, for them, the platform to use is TikTok. And as I said, TikTok really, if you want to get the youth vote, that's where you need to speak. And the youth's not so active on Facebook. They say Facebook is for old people. I say young at heart. But anyway, these things are shared. People see that, oh gosh, yeah, making sense. Really? You want to accuse the PNM of creating a society with handouts and all of that foolishness. And yet still they only want to say that Dr. Rowley is a miser and Dr. Rowley this and that. It isn't Dr. Rowley that, and or the PNM that was offering people 500 a month to make child. It's not the PNM that out here boasting that we give out 48,000 food cards. PNM didn't do that. But I don't know under which rock she came from. Right? But this is how they mislead. When you're totally clueless, ignoramus, to use our own word, yeah, just if ignoramus was a person, this individual, I wish somehow she could see my life this morning. Yes, you're being chastised for your folly. Right? All these big words doesn't change anything. You're talking rubbish, absolute nonsense. You could keep your vote. Put it next to the Kamla. Maybe you're looking for land for the landless. You're looking for a certificate of comfort because you probably see a piece of land somewhere, state land, and you have aspirations of putting up a 2x4, as Kamla Prasad Bisesa has recommended, and with hopes that one day it would grow to a 10x10. That is the aspirations that she has for the citizens of this country, people like yourself. Yes, your reward for talking foolishness. If you would educate yourself about what the PNM has offered to the citizenry, continues to offer, but when you're clueless and you sit down and you're listening to rubbish, I wouldn't be surprised if she listens to that station, to those two clowns in an afternoon. Sounds like somebody who would listen to them. Totally clueless. Meanwhile, you have citizens who are availing themselves of the things that the government has put in place to lift them out of poverty, as Dr. Rowley says. There's nothing wrong with the rich getting richer. Nobody can challenge that, because even people like her, if they become rich, they want to get richer. Nobody says, oh, okay, I want to become rich, and when I make $1 million, I'll stop. Or when I make $2 million, I'll stop. I'll close up my business. Nobody does that, right? In fact, I was reading an article just this morning with some A-lister celebrities in the United States who have come out of retirement because, as they said, they needed the money. They made money over the years through several successful movies. People like Jim Carrey, Al Pacino, Harrison Ford, and so on, who all mentioned in the article, who have come out of retirement and gone back into acting because, as they said, they spend the money while, and they broke, and they need money. Right? So nothing wrong with the rich getting richer, but the poor must come out of poverty. And Dr. Rowley didn't just talk that talk. His government, since he would have made that statement, has made significant strides in providing opportunities for the poor to come out of poverty. But their job is to create the opportunities. You cannot force the poor to come and take advantage of the opportunities. And I always recall, and I've done so on numerous occasions, when this same administration in its first term would have launched the small and medium contractor program with the HDC, where rather than giving the contracts to build houses specifically to the big established contractors, the government came up with the idea to give small contractors, medium-sized contractors, the people that you hire when you want to renovate your home, you want to add a room or two. Now, the average Joe who save up their money, chirrup, like the misleader, the opposition told us she did for 10 years, she and her doctor husband, two professions that's supposed to earn a lot of money, and yet still after 10 years you couldn't build. But 6 months after you become prime minister, the house not only did it finish, but it grew. People who build their house like that and would hire the neighborhood contractor, right, to build. These persons were given an opportunity by the state to get between 3, I think, to 10 houses to build for the HTC, with an average profit of about $100,000 per house. This administration did that. Is that what she considers to be creating a society of handouts and so on? Really? But I recall when we went to the launch, I was still on that station at the time, went to get information for my program on this initiative, so that to advise persons who might be so inclined. And there were people who were complaining over the fact that you were required to pay $500 to get the application package, and allocations of housing was almost assured, right? Because they said they wanted to ensure that people get from all over the country. So if it is that you live in South, while they would try to see if they could give you some housing contracts in the South, If it is that South was oversubscribed, you could very well find yourself getting a contract to build houses in Central or in the East or in the West, right? Wherever the need was. And people were complaining, $500, what we had to pay for, why we had to pay for the $500 is too much for you to invest to possibly earn a minimum of $300,000. And these are the things that I can't understand. They tell you come because we want serious people. We don't want people coming to the agency to take the application package. You do nothing with it, and then you just take it and you have it there, and you're not serious. So when you come and pay a 500, it tells us that you are serious. You're investing your money. This is something that you want to do, that you're going to follow through with, and agency don't want no time wasters. And that is how you differentiate between the time wasters and the people who are serious. And I've seen some of these houses that these small and medium-sized contractors have built. Beautiful houses. They have skill. And the government gave them an opportunity. Now, of course, I know one of the challenges has been with respect to government generating revenue and the payment on time. But there's opportunities such as this. And as I keep saying, the poor must come out of poverty. But it seems like in Trinidad, sometimes you need to beat the poor with a big stick to get them to come and take advantage of the opportunities to come out of poverty. And rather than this misguided soul use her platform to promote some of these programs that the government has, because the government could use the help with respect to promoting these things. I don't know what happened to the caravan, the youth caravan that was going from constituency to constituency, signing up people on the spot for these various programs rather than come and simply tell them about it and hope they come to the respective offices to sign up or go online, sign them up one time. You hear about it, you're interested, come, go and get your ID card and whatever. Come one time and fill out the application form and let's start to process it and deal with you. These are the things that you need to be doing. I'm not hearing the opposition talking about that. When they want to talk about treating, they want to tell you crime and poverty and all of that. And their solution is what? They want to tell you that crime is a societal issue, well, is a poverty issue. A lot of the people who involved in the crime is because they're poor and they have no jobs. Rubbish. Rubbish. Because the high-powered guns that they're using to commit these crimes, where that come from? How that pay for? That costs a lot of money. Right? These guys are not interested in honest employment. They are not interested in an honest day's work for an honest day's pay. When you could pull back a man's skull or take a man ghost or make a man unalive, to use the new term, and you could make a money that could last you 2-3 months for that one job. Why the hell would I want to go and work where I have supervisor and people want to tell me what time I have to come to work? I have to get off my bed early in the morning to look for transportation to go to work in the hot sun whole day or doing whatever it is. And then for 8 hours for the day I trapped, I have 1 hour free. And for the rest of the time, I'm literally trapped. That's how they feel. So when you have been cultured into where you've gotten accustomed to being your own boss, so to speak, and you've tasted, from the time you make that first kill, that's it. You're beyond redemption as far as I'm concerned, because you've lost that, what for the rest of us, that restraint. You know, some of us would think, the thought of just taking a gun and shooting somebody, I can't do that. You know, I don't know how them men could do that. Yeah, well, they do it. And after they do it for the first time and you've lost that restraint, that is it. That's it. There is no coming back from that as far as I am concerned. Because I don't know if it creates something in you that you desire to do it again and you like to see that. When you could just walk up to a man, shoot him, and then pump his head full of bullets just to make sure that he's deceased. With no regard, and you go home and you sleep normal as if, yeah, all in a day's work. When you could run into somebody's house and beat them and take this stuff with no regard, right? You're okay as an elderly citizen who might be living alone, as the case may be. For you, it's just quick money until the next one. So you want to blame the government for that? When did it start? And I keep making the point, it starts with the parents. She ain't blaming the parents, you know, talking about 9 gangs in a school, and the police know about it and ain't doing nothing, but that's the government fault, right? What is the Prime Minister and the Minister of National Security supposed to do? Last I checked, the top brass of the police service receiving hefty salaries every month. And it is their job to direct their officers to do their work. But if the officers not doing their work and we rather complain and grumble about we only get 4%, so therefore what? And if Prasad Bisasa becomes Prime Minister, what is she going to do? Put a further burden on the Treasury because she thinks the answer to crime is to split the Ministry of National Security into 4 ministries. Ministry of National Security, Ministry of Justice, Ministry of Defense, Ministry of Homeland Affairs. Am I making any sense? That's additional 3 ministers. An additional 3 ministers that have to receive monthly salaries, which have just been increased. An additional 3 ministers who are now entitled to all of these perks that we complain about as citizens. And we talk about how much money the politicians getting and all of that, right? So she's already indicating to you that she's on track, should she win next year, to again forming the largest cabinet in the country's history. The last time her cabinet comprised 33 ministers. Unheard of at a time when in the United States, you had Barack Obama running a population of 350 million people, thereabout, with a 23-member cabinet. But she needed a 33-member cabinet to govern a country of 1.4 million people. Make that make sense, man. Make it make sense, man. And bearing in mind the country's precarious economic circumstance right now, telling her, don't take no. Well, she herself said, I don't agree. I don't agree with the pay raise right now because we can't afford it. But when the government telling you they have no money, well, they could pay 14% and they could pay 10%, and she offering 10% when she comes back, right? So you acknowledge that the country's economic circumstance isn't where it is right now from a government perspective. Even when we look at the private sector, it seems to be thriving, because I am seeing people driving Lamborghinis and Rolls Royce and all kind of thing, like if it's a wet man. Yes, all these expensive cars coming in and they complaining about the Forex and the Forex and the Forex. How these people getting foreign exchange to bring down these expensive cars that you only see on movies like Fast and Furious and the like, right? But it's here. But we suffering, think bad. The economy is at the worst it's ever been. But yet still 2010 to 2015, you weren't seeing these types of vehicles and the numbers that you're seeing it now, right? You weren't seeing that. They had a recent car show, I think last week. I saw clips of it on Facebook. And all of these vehicles, I'm saying, wow, boy, nah. People buying $1 million, what is this brand? Mustang and all kind of thing. As if easy like that. They're driving cars that cost more than a whole house. But we suffering and the economy bad. In an economy that's on the brink, people buying cars that cost more than a house. Easy, and it's like nothing for them. They never think bad. But you have people like this, misguided soul coming to talk a pack of nonsense. But I was saying, if Prasad Bisasa is saying that now is not the time to increase the salaries for parliamentarians and so on, but yet still you are proposing to increase your cabinet to entitle even more people to benefit whenever the salaries are increased. Well, it's increased now. That making sense to you? And she wants to bring back other ministries as well, such as I think the Ministry of Science, Technology, and Tertiary Education, and this one and that one. So Dr. Rowley's cabinet right now comprises 23 persons. So if Prasad Bisasa goes back to 33, that's an additional 10 people, 10 ministers who will be earning over $50,000 a month, right? I think it's 52 or something. So that's an additional $520,000 a month. As we just talking there about base salary, not talking about the perks and all of that. But she telling that make more sense than giving the increases. So all of these people that she plans to bring in to give you this mega cabinet, and all these people will be able to go to the parliament and request a low interest loan to be able to buy high-end vehicles, which is one of the first things they seem to do when they get there, because they have aspirations. So once they know they head into parliament, they start looking to see what vehicle they're going to buy. And on any given day when there's parliament, you take a drive up Abercrombie Street and you will see the type of vehicle. I know poor man vehicle there, no. I know $300,000 and $400,000 vehicle, right? Talking is Prados and Fortuners and BMW, Audi, Q5, Q7, Mustang, Porsche, you name it. They're complaining. We don't want to pay increase. Now is not the time. But you're giving at least 10 more people the opportunity to be able to avail themselves of these things. And it's unfortunate that is not being highlighted. Yeah? Maybe beat up on Rowley. And Rowley only trying to feather the nest of the 1%. Really? But when you give 10 additional people that you don't need, because Dr. Rowley has demonstrated the country could be run with 23 people. But for her, but we know the intellectual deficit of the people that she has at her disposal to join her cabinet, you probably need 2 ministers in every ministry. And even then, you still have a deficit. But that is what they're offering, right? So I just thought I would touch on that quickly. The level of idiocy is what they offer. And spotlight needs to be shown on what do they have to offer, and what would a Kamala Persad-Bissessar cabinet look like, and what can they do. We saw the first incarnation. You're seeing it now in the United States of America with Donald Trump. You saw what his first administration offered. You come with a second administration now. Half or more than half of the people that he has nominated to serve in his cabinet have issues of morals, issues of ethics, and even criminal issues. But that hasn't stopped him. Like yesterday, I think he named his daughter-in-law to be the next ambassador to Greece. That type of nepotism and cronyism. What do you expect Persad-Bissessar is going to do? As I said before, you think her sister waiting in the wings, you know? It's been a while since she's been able to tour the world. And her sister's condition is much worse. Persad-Bissessar, that is. Her condition is much worse than it was 10 years ago or 15 years ago when she needed her sister as her nurse. Now she's more frail. Her health isn't what it used to be. It's evident. So obviously, if she becomes prime minister again, she's going to come back with this nonsense about her needing her sister at your taxpayer expense. Her sister was flying all over the world with your taxpayer money. When you look at your pay slip every month and seeing PAYE and money come out, that money was going for her sister, Virwati Newton, to be able to joyride all over the world pretending to be nurse, that she need to put out Kamala's pills every day and make sure she take her medication, give her injection, her insulin injection, and help her to put on her dress and all of these things when she was much stronger. You were satisfied with that? That your taxpayers' money was paying for her and her children to be living in the prime minister's residence while her sister spending more millions on helicopter ride because she refused to stay in the prime minister's house and wants to go in her newly built house in Philippines, built courtesy whoever. You see, her sister, when it is Samuel never even travel, you know, don't know what abroad looks like. Right? Some of you all don't even know what the inside of a plane looks like, even except what you see on TV and on YouTube. But her sister was able to fly in jumbo jet. She could relax. She have a whole row for herself because her sister, the prime minister, decided to use your taxpayer money to lease a whole jumbo jet. Take a whole jumbo jet that could hold between 153 and 200 people and make money for Caribbean Airlines. Take that out of service to carry 40-something people to Brazil. Carry 50-something people to China. Right? Because she has to arrive in style. Hey, let me plane that whole plane, and for whatever period of time she's there, the plane park up somewhere while she's doing her business. The plane could have been earning income for you, the taxpayer. Instead, it's costing you money. Because whether the ministry pay for it or whoever, is your taxpayers' money. But they are the defenders of the treasury, you know, the taxpayers. While that was happening, Dr. Rowley has never done that. And so when I hear them talking nonsense about how many trips Dr. Rowley have made, how much money spent on all these trips, when Dr. Rowley goes out there, he's going out there to do the people's business. And he has no problem sitting on a plane with 100 and something, 200 people, and he's sitting in business class. He has no problem, but while he's sitting there, people entering the plane, some of them don't like him, and they see him sitting there and probably saying the worst things and wish they could hit him a slap because they don't like him for whatever reason. But he has no problems with that. He is comfortable in who he is and what he does, despite all of the criticisms. And he is looking to build his legacy, which I'm certain has already been better than that of Persad-Bissessar's and will be. So all these delusional people want to tell you Persad-Bissessar was the best prime minister and she delivered. Delivered my eye. Delivered what? Corruption? But we don't look at these things, and these things are not spoken about enough. Compare and contrast. There needs to be comparison between the two leaders. And see how this woman used the treasury as if it was her personal bank account to live a lavish life, but yet still all these jumbo jets that she took to China and Australia and South Africa and Brazil and India, all these places when Dr. Rowley went, he didn't take no whole jet for himself. But when Mr. Manning proposed the jet, they had an issue with it. If it is they had a private jet now, and you could have used that instead of inconveniencing Caribbean Airlines and costing taxpayers money. You could have had that and the jet would have been paying for itself if you had followed through on what Mr. Manning was proposing. But hindsight is 2020. And yeah, but put her back. Kamala Persad-Bissessar wants to be prime minister for the sole purpose of flamming. She is not interested in the job of prime minister for what the job of prime minister requires. When it comes to legislation, when it comes to governing the country with sense, she's not interested in that. For her, it is about self-aggrandizement. It is about being able to say that she was a two-time prime minister. It is about cutting ribbons and giving speeches and smiling and all of that. If she is too lazy to even sign off on documents and would have had no problem leaving a pile of documents to be signed by her successor, it tells you something. She is not a serious person when it comes to prime minister. That is why her judgment in terms of picking people is piss poor. And that's just like why with the Trump cabinet in her first term, and hopefully her only term as prime minister, she had a cabinet of misfits, clowns. It was a circus. Every Monday morning is a cabinet reshuffle. If you're moving around people, you're firing people. People again, she treated governance like it was a five-a-side football match. Everybody getting a kobo sweat. If you're getting a kobo sweat in the Senate for 2 months or 3 months, you're getting a kobo sweat to act as prime minister. Everything was she's just not a serious person in the office of prime minister. That requires a seriousness, and it requires sometimes the prime minister has to be firm. But when Dr. Rowley is firm, people see it as him being arrogant and he's a bully and he likes to talk down to people and so on. Miss me with that. There's a bunch of hypocrites that we have out here. Hypocrites. Anyway, right. I'm gonna just move to that other issue. So, let me get this here. Right. So, 1 second. Right. Is it nearby? No, that's not it. Yes, no. Nope, it's not it either. Where is this thing? I see. Oh, receiving so many things, eh? Folks, give me 1 second here. Yes, no, let me get this. That's not it. So 1 second. No, that's not it either. Is it this way? Yes. So I just wanted to play this quickly before I get to the Tobago bill and Mr. Disrespectful, the boy who thinks he's a king. Right. So I just wanted to remind person the hypocrisy of the UNC and their supporters. Right. I want to play this. Play it quickly.
Is to allow for illegal tapping. The bill that is coming is to allow for illegal tapping to become legal. As we said before, we will not support it. Mako my bill from Mako my man to Mako the people of Trinidad and Tobago. It's not a bill that I can see in a democracy such as ours that we would want to support. The bill that is coming is to allow for illegal tapping to become legal. As we said before, we will not support it. Mako my bill from Mako my man to Mako the people of Trinidad and Tobago. It's not a bill that I can see in a democracy such as ours that we would want to support.
That was when she was talking about the interception of communications bill, right? I just came across this last time. I was doing a little research and stuff. Forgot that I had it there in my archives. This goes to show the hypocrisy. Makome bill from Makome men to Mako the people of Trinidad and Tobago. That preceded Stuart Young's hot mic incident, right? What is a Makome man? Colloquial, we know what that means. What that means? When they tell a man he's a Makome man, what that means? But I wasn't homophobic when she said that on national TV, right? In her capacity of leader of the opposition. That wasn't homophobic. No, did she receive condemnation for that? For referring to the men in government as Makome men? No. So all the hypocrites who wanted to rake Stuart over the coals. So I think that Short Young must go and disrespectful and homophobic and all of that. It matters not the forum in which it was said. The fact that I'm able to play that is because it was recorded on national television when she was interviewed by the media. Comment, and she said that Makome bill from Makome men to Mako people. But she allowed to get away with saying that, right? But so she could accuse people of, So she said something off mic. She deliberately said that to be recorded for the population to hear. What Stuart Young's situation was hot mic. The mic was supposed to be off. Usual banter will talk thrown across the floor. We don't know what the on the other side sometimes say to them on the government bench. It was heard, and country talk about that for days, weeks. They're still talking about it as a matter of fact, some of them. But she could say things like that and get away with it, right? Call people Makome man. Anyway, we'll get to this issue here. So we saw what happened a couple of days ago, and it's still the talk of the town, the defeat of the Tobago Autonomy Bill, Self-Governance Bill, in the Parliament, because it required a special majority on account of the fact that amendments had to be made to the Constitution in order for the bill to be successful. And any constitutional amendment requires the support of the opposition, because they're dealing basically with what is the supreme law, if you want to call it, of the land. A lot of laws emanate from what is in the Constitution. And because the UNC chose not to support, for obvious reasons, far from what it is they are telling us and the reasons that they are giving us, we know why, right? They are pandering to Farley Augustine in the hope that he would win the 2 seats in next year's general election. And if it is a close race in Trinidad and those 2 seats can make the difference, that he would join with them and give them government. Unlike his former leader, Watson Duke, Farley Augustine is not interested in being the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, at least not at this time. All right, so he's content with being Chief Secretary for Tobago. He fancies himself to be the Prime Minister of Tobago. And therefore, I see him having no issues with, should they win the 2 seats, siding or joining with the UNC if it's required in order to form the next government. We saw it in 1995, right, with the UNC and the NAR then, when they did it. And here we are 30 years later in 2025. And that is a distinct possibility. It could happen. There's enough work being done on the ground on the PNM side. I don't know what's happening in Tobago, so I wouldn't pronounce on that. But needless to say, should that happen, I see the PNM's position remains. They win alone, they lose alone, they stand alone. And therefore, Farley would have no issue in being kingmaker or queenmaker for that matter. Provided, of course, that the UNC has no problem with bringing back the Tobago Autonomy Bill, should they form government, and give Farley everything that he wants. I keep saying, probably tell him here, what, man, you drop the bill now. No, you drop the bill. Whatever you want, we giving you. Giving you, yeah. But with Rowley, you want to expand Tobago's waters, the demarcation, we giving you that too. What else it is that you want? You want us to do away with the 5th schedule and the 6th schedule and guess create a new schedule and you in charge of everything in Tobago? National security, everything. Everything that is not covered in the 5th schedule now, you want us to add it? No problem, we could give you that. What else you want? We just need to neutralize those 2 seats, which have been a pain in our side for the longest while. And last night I had occasion to look at the Parliament channel during the debate, the committee stage of the bill. And Saddam Hussein, who fancies himself, who figure he's the brightest bulb in the chandelier. Killy Daddy is the brightest lawyer I'd have in Trinidad. Right? And so they're going through the bill stage by stage, well, clause by clause. And the leader of government business, Camille Robinson Regis, she had to school him on a couple of things. And he figured he bright, so disrespectful to say, well, he studied the law and he practices law unlike the member and thing, and therefore what he says. Now, the fact of the matter is, I'll give Jack his jacket, as they say, and Jim his gym boots. A couple of points that he made, and the government conceded. In fact, when Mrs. Robinson Regis would have agreed with certain changes that he felt should have been made, and inconsistencies or errors, she said, we are grateful. But when she felt that he was wrong, and she stood on a point that you're wrong, like he didn't like that, and they kept going at it. But I questioned this, what was the point in you coming to raise all of these issues when you all came to the Parliament on Monday, was it? You came to the Parliament knowing full well that you were not going to support the bill. So all this set of semantics and I think we want to go through and we want to raise this issue and we're looking for clarification. Clarification for what? It didn't matter. You get the clarification that you were looking for and Ole already came to the Parliament with the intent that you were not going to support the bill. And they keep harping on this. consultation. I listened to one of the Dissident Five, Dinesh Rambali, talking about the issue here is consultation, and there has not been enough consultation and consultation and consultation. How much more consultation you want? If it is that the government has provided the forum for consultation and people are not coming to the consultation meetings, the last time they come with the same dotish thing about consultation, leader of government business, Camille Robinson, would you say, okay, fine, well, they want more consultation, no problem. We will stand down the bell and we will go back out for consultation in Tobago. They did that, right? And people, if a handful of people come into the meetings, what you want them to do? And you all keep saying that there have been calls of the people that they want more consultation in Trinidad and they want more consultation in Tobago. Tobago wants no input from Trinidad. Farley Augustine and his minions have made that abundantly clear, that this is a Tobago thing and the only people who should have a say in it is Tobago. Like, they forget the name of the countries, Trinidad and Tobago. So they need, as far as they're concerned, there need not be any consultations in Trinidad, because this is not, this matter does not involve Trinidad. But yet still, all of the things that Farley Augustine is advancing, that he wants in the bill, came from where? And this is what I don't understand with the UNC. Their main point is about there needs to be consultation. But you all come in the committee stage, and Dr. Rowley had to pull up Saddam Hussein for playing games. You come to talk about the chief secretary just sent an aid memoir, a certain amendments and whatnot, stop the don't allow the bill to go through and so on. But you're willing to accept what Farley Augustine is proffering for a Tobago autonomy bill. And what Farley Augustine is offering came from where? There has been no consultation. Who did he consult? When did he hold consultations to put together this aid memoir to say, this is what the people of Tobago wants, right? But you're willing to accept what Farley put out there without Farley engaging in any consultations, but coming to now to harangue the government to talk about you need more consultation and consultation. So Farley don't need to do consultation, but the government must consult. But you're not saying how much consultation must take place. You want what, a whole year of consultations? You had the Joint Select Committee. They went through this thing, all they discussed it. Issues that they come to raise on one, they were discussed at length in the Joint Select Committee, and they would have come to certain compromise, and all they come back in the parliament to bring up the same stupidness. The same nonsense again. That is the purpose of the Joint Select Committee, is to reach compromise. We go through the bill clause by clause. The opposition members would say, okay, we have an issue with this. We feel that this could be amended. We think this is what government will discuss with them. Let us see what compromise we can arrive at, so that we can, when we get to the parliament, there is unison. There is agreement that we have hashed out a bill that is acceptable to both sides of the house. And when it comes to the vote, everybody could vote yes. You went through the Joint Select Committee stage, and then you still come to the parliament. Why? And then Farley, that upstart, has the audacity and the temerity to send the Prime Minister some amendments, proposed amendments, mere minutes before the committee stage. And what? As if he doesn't understand. Maybe that's how he runs the THA, but that is not how Dr. Rowley runs his cabinet, and by extension, his government. That if you are submitting, you want, and it begs the question, is it that Farley doesn't understand how the governance system works in this country? You can't submit amendments mere minutes before the committee stage that the government hasn't had an opportunity to read, hasn't had an opportunity to study. You didn't send it to all members of cabinet, you sent it to the Prime Minister via WhatsApp. The Prime Minister cannot make that decision on his own. There is a process. So that all the amendments that the government would have raised on Monday were amendments that the cabinet would have discussed, and they would have come to an agreement. These things had to be discussed in Joint Select Committee. This is not something, a decision you can make on a whim. That the Prime Minister is supposed to say, oh, well, I seen here the Chief Secretary now send me a WhatsApp here. Let me read it first, and then I could tell you what he say, right? And I seen 8 issues here, right? Okay, all right. So, yes, the Chief Secretary say, so. So we're supposed to discuss this on the floor. Right? That's how it's supposed to work, Farley. That's how it's supposed to work. Cabinet has to take a decision on these things. It has to be discussed in length so everybody could have an opportunity to read it. I know what's even worse, and the hypocrisy of the UNC. They always complaining The government decide they want to debate a bill, and we only got notification 2 days before and 3 days before, and that wasn't sufficient time for us to read the proposed bill and for us to do our research and so on and come to debate, Madam Speaker. They're always complaining about that, you know. Always complaining this short notice that the government now send them but yet still, Saddam Hussein comes on Monday and he has no problem receiving aid memoir from Fali. Well, we assume that he received it around the same time, minutes before. But you want to entertain something that you got minutes before, but complaining about a bill that you all get days before. So days before is an issue, but minutes before, we have no problem with that. We have a problem with minutes before. I hope the government takes note of that, so the next time they have a bill on short notice and these clowns come in the parliament to complain about we get short notice and they only 3 days before and 4 days before and 1 week before and it wasn't sufficient time, remind them you were willing to entertain Fali's foolishness that you received minutes before. So if you're willing to work with minutes before, don't complain about days before. You're on stupidness and folly. But one is left to wonder. This was a whole game and a whole scheme. Fali must understand how these things work. And if you don't understand and you figure that you could send the Prime Minister a WhatsApp with a aid memo with about 8 or so amendments that you want to see and expect that it could be debated on the floor in that period of time, then you have no business being Chief Secretary. None. Maybe that's how you do things when you all have a THA meeting. An idea came to you in the middle of the night. You know? Your wife was spinning your ears. And you get an idea, and next day you come to THA executive meeting. Hey, you know, I had a dream last night, or I get an idea. I think we want to do this. And of course, because all those minions there believe that, you know, they owe their political life to Fali. Yes, massa, if you say it's good, we say it good. You don't need to discuss nothing. You just say, all right, we approve. That's why you run a government, but Dr. Rowley is a dictator. Let me read this here. I'll give you an example. I wish I could have play that exchange, but anyway, where is it? So, right. Trinidad Express, December 10th. Rowley accuses Saddam of playing games. Baratares and one MP Saddam Hussein was taken to task yesterday by Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley for his cavalier approach in seeking to abort committee stage of the Tobago bills. As the committee stage began in Parliament, Hussein said the opposition had received an aid memoir from the office of the THA Chief Secretary Fali Augustine, which raised the issue of consultation and which posited that some clauses in the bill may violate the core principles of self-determination. It would be interesting. I would love for Saddam to tell us when did they receive this aid memoir. And it's important for two reasons. One, if they received it well in advance of coming to Parliament, then it shows that Fali's decision to send these things to the Prime Minister mere minutes before is a total disrespect and he on games. Because if you could have sent it to the opposition before, well before, so they could have had an opportunity to study it, and you only gave the Prime Minister mere minutes, you're a little boy. You're not serious about governance, right? But if it is he sent it to them as well, mere minutes before, again, it speaks to his incompetence as a politician and not understanding how the system works. That is not how it works. You can't impose things on people mere minutes before. There is a process and he needs to acquaint himself with that process. But further, who he sent it to in the opposition? You have all of their contact numbers? How often you all have conversations? What else have you sent them? What have they sent you? Just asking that question. You have Saddam's number? Why do you as the Chief Secretary need Saddam Hussein's number? Just asking. Other than the leader of the opposition. I just asking. The Chief Secretary is raising concerns, and at the end of it, he asks that they don't proceed further with this particular bill, which serves as a companion bill to the Constitution Amendment Bill. This bill will not be able to stand on its own because you need the constitutional grounding for this particular bill, Hussein said. Rowley, however, said he was shocked that Hussein could so cavalierly intervene in the parliamentary proceedings to play this game. The Prime Minister said he had just seen 2 minutes ago a message from the Chief Secretary who was offering 8 pages of legal I don't know what, telling the parliament to stop its proceedings. Prime Minister said the laws of the country provide a mechanism for the Chief Secretary to communicate with his office on matters of Tobago, and nothing had come to him from the Chief Secretary's office. But today in the Parliament, 1 minute before we sit to deal with the committee stage of a joint select committee of years of work, this member, Hussain, facilitating this intervention by a WhatsApp of amendments being proposed by the THA through its Chief Secretary. Madam Speaker, this is preposterous and I will have none of it. The opposition attempted several times to present the case of the THA administration during the committee stage. Hussain said the bill was still giving the central government a stronghold, or rather a stranglehold, over the executive arm of the newly constituted assembly. But Leader of Government Business Camille Robinson-Regis said, in a committee stage, we asked for amendments. If the member has no amendment, I would like us to proceed, please. The opposition also had difficulty with the composition of the Dispute Resolution Committee, which Hussain said was weighted 3-2 in favor of the government, since 2 members were appointed by the Prime Minister, 2 by the Premier of Tobago, Chief Secretary, and 1 by the President of the Republic. Robinson-Regis said there was judicial oversight of the decision. However, Hussain said the Court of Appeal was the final court for the settlement of disputes arising from DRC, and the opposition wanted the Privy Council to be the final court. The opposition also complained that they were given a short time to consider amendments which the government brought yesterday. Well, let's see the nonsense. The opposition also complained that they were given a short time to consider amendments which the government brought yesterday. So we complaining, the government gave us short notice of these proposed amendments, which to my mind was, no such a big thing. In fact, Saddam Hussein, when they were going through the amendments, when Camille Robinson-Regis raised an amendment, I think, to make an adjustment from Chief Secretary to Premier and so on, and Saddam Hussein, that's the amendment. I thought it was going to be a big amendment, and Camille said, I said we had an amendment. I never said that it was a big amendment. But you see the hypocrisy? You're complaining that the government provided you all yesterday with the proposed amendments. Short notice, you didn't get enough time to review it. But you were willing to entertain amendments that you got possibly mere minutes before. So 1 day before is too late. But 2 minutes before, as the Prime Minister received it 2 minutes before, and we assume that they received it at the same time, albeit I'm not surprised I wouldn't be surprised if they got it days before or well before. You're willing to entertain that. Something very wrong with people like Saddam Hussein, the man who hopes that he would be the next Attorney General. So I hear. It goes on to say, right, so the opposition complained that they were given a short time to consider amendments which the government brought yesterday. The Prime Minister responded that the amendments represented the suggestions which came from the THA at the time that the bill was being debated in the House, and therefore the amendments were no surprise. These are not any amendments put by the government at the last minute. So Fali has the facility that he could submit amendments at the last minute, but not the government. Hussain insisted that the government had brought 4 pages of new amendments, which had caused the committee to be suspended for 10 minutes to have the amendments circulated and considered. Right. But you were able to consider Fali's in 2 minutes. You were able to read and consider Fali's amendments in 2 minutes, and you were satisfied with these amendments. And as the article said throughout the process, the opposition kept trying to make a case on behalf of Fali Augustine. If he was was he in the chamber at the time? Just asking. If you were so interested in the bill, did you come to Trinidad to sit in the chamber and view the proceedings? Have you sought to reach out to the Prime Minister, to meet with the Prime Minister to discuss these things? As I've said before, despite all the nasty things that Fali Augustine says about Dr. Rowley, all the names he calls him, talking about that bald-headed man from Whitehall or whatever, the Prime Minister need to mind his own damn business. The Prime Minister need to come and dig up his navel string from Mason Hall and all of that. All that foolishness. The Prime Minister is a house slave and slave mentality, and he's a wicked Prime Minister. In spite of all these things, Dr. Rowley has continued to show the fact that you stand up in the THA chamber and made all kind of allegations, unfounded allegations, play recording, or some man say the Prime Minister meet with him and the Commissioner of Police and the head of customs and all kind of thing to hatch this scheme. All of this nonsense, Dr. Rowley has still been accommodating. He still accommodates you when you have your committee request. As I said a couple of days ago, when he complained about the National Security Council needing some level of Tobago representation, Dr. Ali said, all right, I will bring the National Security Council meeting to Tobago and we invite you to come and sit on it. He did that. He showed you he was willing to compromise with respect to your request for a Tobago police force. When you're complaining about licensing officers and all these things, again, the Prime Minister is willing to make an intervention, but you continue to be nasty. But you see, Fali knows what it is he's doing, right? He's making Prime Minister Rowley out to be, and the PNM out to be this villain. That they don't care about the interests of Tobago. And that they're selfish and they don't care about Tobago's needs. And it's only about Trinidad. And all kind of old videos they're digging up and so on. And posting on the Tobago People's Connect Facebook page. And so, we had to be jamming them myself, Jenny, Mr. Chance, and others. Jamming them every time they post, every morning, the anchor holds. The anchor holds. Holds what? That old rusty anchor. That if you touch it, you even walk too close to it, you might get tetanus. But the anchor holds. Why had to be checking the anchor every morning? To see if it's still there. If it's a sturdy, sound, solid anchor, you don't have to be checking every morning. The anchor holds and the anchor holds my foot. But the opposition, that is why they have never criticized Fali Augustine. They have never spoken on issues that require discussion in Tobago. Things that had it been Ansel Dennis or Tracy Davidson Celestin, had she been chief secretary, or Kelvin Charles, they would have talked about that from now till the cows come home. But Fali, they're always happy to give him a free pass. He could do what the hell he want. He could do, Trevor could do, Faith could do. Who else it have? The rest of them, Baines, Pollard. Look at the situation, the issue they had the other day with Pollard, and I think he's under police investigation. You ever heard the UNC talk on that? You ever heard any comment from the UNC on that? Good, bad, or indifferent? They will never speak on any allegations made against any secretary in the THA. And we know why. Is that quality governance, that you are willing to turn a blind eye and a deaf ear to possible corruption and wrongdoing in the THA because you're hoping to form an alliance and get those 2 seats? So why are you all taking an oath? What's the point of taking an oath? So it's all, and again, it shows it's party before country, self before country, and that is what they're greedy. And so they don't want to risk getting Fali upset and to the point where he say, well, you know what? If I win these 2 seats, I'm not willing to join with anybody. So let us pacify. We will remain mum on anything that Fali does. The fact that he calling people the Prime Minister house slave, but when you look at his actions and that of his administration, one is left to ask, who is the real house slave? When it is that you could deprive Tobago contractors of work and the employees that they have, no regard for your fellow Tobagonians who work for these contractors, and you could be shelling out contracts to contractors in Trinidad who are known affiliates of the UNC, right? From Central and South Trinidad, there's an allegation that there is one contractor in particular who, since this administration came in, you know, he hasn't been getting the kind of contracts he was getting 2010 to 2015. So what has he done with all of this equipment? You have all of these fly-by-night contractors coming out now, setting up business, and basically they are proxies for him. So they bid in for contracts in Tobago. They have no equipment. They have no manpower whatsoever. And then what will simply happen when they get the contract? They go to this individual, and he will provide them with all that they need, all the equipment and all of the personnel and whatnot and stuff. And basically, they are front for him to get all of these contracts. So you have multiple contractors, but really is one main individual who's benefiting from all of these small contractors who will eat a little food. And he's well aware of that. And meanwhile, you have indigenous Tobago homegrown contractors who could do the work. And because you figure they are PNM, you want to bypass them and come to Trinidad and give it to supporters of the UNC. Who is the real house slave Valley? Right? So your fellow Tobagonians had to be running to these Trinidadian contractors begging for work. Or they're taking on any workers there. I can't find work by. When some of these young people might have been mainstays for these Tobagonian contractors, because that's who they will go to first. But when the Trinidadian contractor bringing up his foremen and his supervisors and want to lord it over your Tobagonians, you ain't studying that, Because they're not going to come to Tobago to look for no foreman and stuff. They have the people in Trinidad who sitting here looking for work, so they will get first preference. And how do you Tobagonians feel? Always talking about Trinidad treating Ole like a bastard child, and we're feeling like a ward of Trinidad. But you have your chief secretary is giving $1 million contracts to Trinidadian contractors to come up to Tobago with their people to supervise Tobagonians as well. They don't know how to do the work. So you're still subservient. If you want to look at it that way, you still have to answer to Trinidadians. And that is being facilitated by your chief secretary and your THA that all you want to clap and applaud. But he wants to call the prime minister having slave mentality. That is how slave mentality. But you're a little blind and dotish somewhere in Tobago to see that. What it is that this man is doing. No complaints, all ain't complaining about that. All they happy to have that, right? And meanwhile, the contractors in Tobago, when it is they had a close-up shop, they don't have loans to pay. You're studying about that? When it is that they're not making any money because Fali given the contracts to all the Trinidadian contractors and they have to shut their business and send home Tobagonians. And it's not just the laborers we're talking about, because you would have persons who are doing office staff, but if the company, the business not getting any work, people have to be laid off and go home. You feel Fali care about that? When it is that he can disband a whole unit that he labeled political hires and send home 17 people without any care or regard as to how these people are paying their bills, how they feeding their family, right? How they're maintaining a roof over their heads. You feel he care that these people have bank loans to pay and all of that and they have monthly commitments? To hell with that. No, all the political hires, they pay them earlier. You're fired. Where you hang your swing, I couldn't care. These people are Tobagonians first. Before anything else, before any party card, when you see them, the first thing you see is a Tobagonian. You don't see them, hey, look my party card here, I'm a PNM, a TPP. Tobagonians first, so regardless of what is their political affiliation, which they're entitled to by law and the Constitution, you should not deprive these people of work because you're damn fast and out of place to be doing those things. But Tobagonians sit back quietly and allow you to do that nonsense. But I want to draw a reference. Because whenever I engage them on the Tobago People's Party Connect page, they always like to come with some nonsense to challenge. I welcome the challenges, right? So one of them the other day, I heard Shamfa Kudjo was making the point. I heard it on a clip on I think I-95 on the news where she was saying that when you look at the allocation that Fali is asking for relative to the amount of inhabitants on the island of Tobago, about 65,000 persons or so, and you do a comparison or comparative to Trinidad, you have certain constituencies that have more persons than that, and they are not getting that much money, right? When you have regional corporations that have 2 and 3 times the number of persons that live in Tobago, and yet still they don't get 4.8 billion, and Fali is asking for 8% of the budget, right? And so I would have made that point as well, and then this individual jump on to tell me about you can't compare Tobago and Trinidad because there are certain things that Trinidad have that we don't have in Tobago, and certain facilities and stuff that we have to come to Trinidad for. Now ask him, I say, name one for me now. Name one for me that Tobago has. The Tobago doesn't have that Trinidad has, that you all have to jump on the plane or jump on the ferry to come to Trinidad to deal with that. Name one. I'm still waiting. Can't give me. And if it is you could name one, why Fali hasn't made representation to have that service in Tobago for the convenience of the people? He's been there for 3 years. So clearly it's not a priority for him. Right? Not a priority for him. But I would want to remind Fali and the supporters of that party that this UNC that you all want to align yourself with in Trinidad, just remember, when Satmarad said what he said about Tobagonian men, which includes yourself, Fali, because he was generalized, Kamla Prasad Bisasa didn't come to your defense. Let me remind him of what it is Satmarad said. Those listening, the supporters of the UNC who are listening here, let me remind all you. Marad said, nothing going correct in Tobago. They're lazy. 6 out of 10 of them working for the Tobago House of Assembly, getting money from Port of Spain. They don't want to work. They go to work after 9 and then they go for breakfast. The rest of them, able-bodied men, they don't want to work at all. Run crab race, run boat race, and go to the beach hunting white meat. You see a white girl there, you rape she, you take away all she camera, everything. Right? This is Satmarad saying that. Satmarad said that. With respect to when it is that the government was in the process of procuring 2 additional fast ferries to benefit Tobago, benefit all more than Trinidad, right? And we had to lease the Jean de la Valette. I think it was costing 200 and something thousand a month or the like. Satmaraj had an issue with that. Let us not forget, he went on his television program called the Mahasabha Strikes Back, and he was complaining that this Keith Rowley government taking how much hundreds of thousands of dollars to lease a ferry for Tobagonians to come to Trinidad on a weekend to make market, right? And all they taking Trinidadian taxpayers' money to lease boat for Tobago, so Tobagonians could come here and make market and come and Lime and Galavant and so on, and then go back home. And they ain't contributing. And Satmaraj said that. And that was Kamla Prasad Bissasa's guru. Did she condemn him when he made the statement about Tobagonian men being rapists and all looking, hunting white meat, and you see a white girl there and you rape she and take away her camera? Did Kamla condemn him for that? No, she didn't. But you're supporting her. Right? When it is Ramona Ramdial, I think in her last contribution to the budget before she was ousted by the UNC, and she was complaining, she said, Madam Speaker, you see what they're doing? They're taking from Trinidad and giving it to Tobago. She was complaining about the money being spent on access roads for farmers in Tobago and all of these different things. The purchase of vehicles for different departments and all that. She was complaining. They're taking money, they're cutting, her words were, they're cutting in Trinidad to give to Tobago. Who she was referring to? Who's the they? It's Keith Rowley and his government she was complaining about. It is on Hansard. Did her leader pull her up and tell her, no, that is not the way. No. They pong desk for that. Same Kamla Prasad Bisasa who had an issue. She was supporting that foolishness. Ramona Ramdial went to town on that and talking about how much money this administration was sending to Tobago to develop Tobago. Of course, at that time, it was the PNM was in charge in Tobago, and she had an issue with that. But all they want to come now and say that Dr. Rowley is a wicked prime minister and he's selfish and he don't care about the needs of the people of Tobago. But when that was happening, where was Kamla to your defense? All these bleeding hearts, Loudmouth, Anil Roberts, and the rest of them, did they come to your defense? No. Satmaraj has gone to the great beyond, and today he's yet to be reprimanded for that nastiness that he said by his disciple. But before I open the lines, I just want to do a comparative because I was making the point before as raised by Shamfa Kojo, right? So Fali is asking for, as part of the autonomy, you want 8% of the national budget. And their grounds for that, they're talking about, Tobago waters, and they want delineation, and they want the government to establish a demarcation line for Tobago waters and so on, so that they could continue to push this narrative about oil and gas in Tobago waters. And when they say in central government and Trinidad saying that Tobago don't contribute nothing to the economy, but it's Tobago oil and Tobago gas that we're using, and all of that foolishness. Idiocy, but we'll play. I had a clip to play, but I don't have the time to play it this morning, right? Because that was never an issue. But Fali just coming up with things, whoever advising Fali, and he just, because he not bright enough, right? So whoever advising him with this choppiness and putting that in his head, and he coming and parroting this nonsense. So they coming to tell us now everything northeast of Trinidad is Tobago waters and all these years, and we're using up the resources and what. As I keep telling them, for the years when the majority of Trinidad's energy, the economic rents from Trinidad's energy sector was coming from on land Trinidad, right? All the oil fields in Trinidad, when Tobago was benefiting from that before we started to do offshore drilling and all of these kind of things. And the majority of the money from the energy sector was coming from on land Trinidad. You all want studying about that? So if all they want to come and talk nonsense about Tobago waters and oil and gas in Tobago waters, and that's all they want, well, okay, monetize it. Let Fali go and negotiate with BP and Shell and whoever to monetize it. Let him find the money to put the infrastructure in place and all of that. Let him build an LNG plant in Tobago. Don't come to use Atlantic LNG in Trinidad because all they don't want nothing to do with Trinidad. Build your own LNG plant, find your own money and build it in Tobago. Build a refinery in Tobago too. Right? You establish your own energy sector in Tobago, and when you start to make money, pay back Trinidad for all the monies that you all benefited from our oil and gas fields online, and then you could go and enjoy yourself. But that is the kind of dotish talk and the separatist mindset that they're pushing in Tobago, and more people falling for that, because I've had persons who visited Tobago who tell, just yesterday I was having a conversation with my partner Dean Francois, and he was telling me he went to Tobago recently, and that's the kind of talk in Tobago. People who we know was preaching the gospel of the PNM before in Tobago, all of a sudden now they're anti-PNM because they're buying into Fali's rhetoric about Tobago this and Tobago first and Tobago first. Right? Or they're getting a brand new airport that looking in Tobago looking better than Trinidad. But let me just make this point there, right? So Fali's asking for 8% of the budget. So if you have an average of $60 billion a year, 8% works out about $4.8 billion for 65,000 people, right? And if it is, God forbid, Prasad Bisesa comes back and she decides to go back to her $65 billion budget, which cannot be sustained by government's revenues, and therefore will be running deficit budgets, and the exchequer account will be put further into overdraft, permanent overdraft. If we look at 65 billion, we're looking at about 5.2 billion that he wants for 65,000 people, right? Dominica has a population of 73,000 people, right? So their population is bigger than that of Tobago. But let me just give you an example here, right? You see, Dominica's budget for the year, 73,000 people, a whole island, right? And let us not forget that in Tobago, aside from the direct monies that Tobago gets, the THA gets from central government, you also have ministries that put money into Tobago, that spend money. Those areas that don't fall under the 5th schedule, so like national security and the like, these things. The National Security Ministry will spend money in Tobago. The TTPS will spend money in Tobago. They pay the salaries of the police. They will provide vehicles and all of these different things. Yeah. So they get money from the ministries as well as what they get the direct intervention. He wants 4.8 billion minimum. Let's see. Dominica, with a population of 7.73,000 people, their budget for 2024-2025 is 3.5 billion TT dollars for 73,000 people. Whole island. Right? 3.5 billion TT, but he wants 4.8. Antigua, with a population of 95,000 people. Right? Let's now, let me get him here. $3.26 billion TT. Their population bigger than Tobago, eh? Whole island. St. Vincent, going again. Population of 104,000. Whole island. St. Vincent and the Grenadines, eh? St. Vincent and the Grenadines. So we're looking at more than one island. 4 billion TT. Still less than what Fali is asking for 65,000 people. Grenada. Population of 126,000 people. 4 billion TT is their budget. Whole island. Right? Almost double the population of Tobago. St. Lucia, 180,000 people. 3 times that of Tobago. Their budget for 2024-2025, 4.6 billion TT. You understand the trend? All these other Caribbean islands, right? Population bigger than Tobago. And they are able to run everything, right? Everything. Police, army, public service, healthcare, you name it. On budgets that are less than what Fali is asking for. With larger populations, every single one of them, larger populations than what Tobago has. And they are able to run their country successfully with far less money than what Fali is asking for. Make it make sense to me. Right? And he wants a 8%. That is 8% for now. And then he keeps talking about equity and his 2 islands, and we need to talk. Okay, so then what? 10 years from now, you'll come back and say, you want 15% of the budget? 20%? Where does it end? Well, since you want to say that Twin Island Republic and so on, you want 50-50? 50% of the budget to Tobago and 50% to Trinidad, right? Because we want equity. And? Okay. That making sense to him. And unfortunately, you have people who supporting that rubbish. Just take note of that. All these other islands have populations bigger than Fali. They are, and that money, but their budgets are less than what he's asking for. And it's covering far more But we will leave that there for now because it's already after 8. Let me get this. Hello, good morning. Hello.
Good morning.
Morning, sir.
Let me start by saying that, like you, I have absolutely no sympathy for Tobago and Tobagonians. You see it in front of your face. You still want to go and buy cat and bag? Take what you get. Not too long ago, within the last year and a half or so, it was highlighted on the radio that Sally Augustine, as is his want, gave a contract to the tune of $54 million to a roofing contractor from Central Trinidad. Roofing, that's a special area. He's a roofing contractor to build road in Tobago. To build road in Tobago. I Googled it. I saw the name of the contractor. I Googled it, I checked it. It is either in Charlieville or Warrenville. That is where it is.
Yes.
So Central Trinidad, as the area where most of Fali's contractors come from. $54 million. His specialty is fixing roof, building roof, but Fali gave him a contract to build road. Now, out of concern, the media in Tobago confronted the gentleman and asked him, well, look, sir, you are a roofing contractor. What experience do you have in doing road work? And his response was, I don't know why you Negroes don't understand simple English. That is what he said. That went to Fali Augustine. I will investigate it. Nothing was done.
Correct.
And before Fali could say Jack Robinson, before the media could say Jack Robinson, the man pocketed his $54 million up front. Up front. This thing is to build roof. That is why, along with the other contracts given, all of which were given to people from Central and South Trinidad, in brackets, read UNC people. But you see, a price has to be paid when people sponsor your election campaigns, your THA campaigns,
correct,
the 2 quick campaigns, that come from UNC coffers, that come from UNC contractors. They come from UNC contractors and from nobody else. So it's a straight case of having to pay the piper. Fali is paying back his debt to the people who sponsored his election campaigns in Tobago. That is all it is. And that is why I have absolutely no sympathy for Tobago and Tobagonians. Because Tobago has deep, deep precedence for this kind of raping of their island and the sensitivity of their island. They knew it from the days of Panday. Go back 29 years ago, when Robinson gave him the 2 seats. Gave him the 2 seats. What the first thing Panday do? He fired the 2 Tobago senators, which was part of the terms of engagement between Panday and Robinson for Panday to be made Prime Minister. That is what was done to Tobago. Panday fired the 2 Tobago senators. And I dare say, that is what started the friction and the animosity between Panday and Robinson. The T-shame and the airporting came after, but that is where the genesis of the bitterness between Panday and Robinson began. That is where it started. He violated the terms of engagement between himself and Robinson for Robinson to have given him the 2 Tobago seats to make him Panday Prime Minister. Tobagonians know that, and they knew that. They go back and give Kamala 2 seats, the same 2 seats, in Tobago in 2010. And they're on the road to giving this little wretch the 2 Tobago seats again and selling Tobago back out to the UNC for a 3rd time in the history of Tobago. 3 times straight, the UNC poaching, they come sniffing and smelling at Tobago. And it takes a black Tobago person to give UNC the government of Trinidad and Tobago. for you?
None.
I have no sympathy whatsoever for you. Because you see, what Fali is doing, Fali is paying back his debt. He's paying back his debt. And what we are seeing now is the beginning of the hardening of the terms of reference to put UNC back in power again, to put Tobago back in the arms of the UNC, and for the UNC to rape Tobago a third time in succession, 3 times straight. And let me close by saying this. All the so-called black demagogues in Trinidad, the David Mohammed, the Capra Cambon, the Igoro Ome, the Selwyn Kojo, all of them, when she referred to Dr. Rowley as Oreo and Black Man, the media asked all of them for a comment. And almost in unison, all man said it was not racist when she called him Oreo and Black Man. And when she referred to Camille Robinson Wages as having a slave master name, they found nothing racist and nasty and objectionable about that. All those so-called black demagogues who leaded the charge, all of these black people, and these standing up for black people and all of that. Of most recent vintage, Fali Augustine referring to Dr. Rowley, among all the insults, come back again, your house slave. You hear Capra Cambon say anything? Kojo, David Mohammed, Capra Cambon, Igorome, not a word from any of them. And that happened since Monday to this Thursday. Not one damn word from anybody in the NJAC. Not a word from anybody in the NJAC. I had to look at my TV the other night. Some woman who represented NJAC, some woman with the surname something Wadada. And hear what she says. Very soft, almost apologetic terms. Listen to this. Leaders, plural, leaders must be very conscious and very careful about the terms they use in describing black people. Leaders, because that's slavery, and they don't call them slaves again, and they call them enslaved people, and this and that and the other. Why the hell you must say leaders? Why pluralize it? Why generalize it? It is one leader in this Chin Island state who refers to Dr. Rowley as a house slave. Call his damn name. Call his name. Why are you afraid to call Fali Augustine name? Why? Because traditionally, you all in NJAC have always been against PNM. Because you all joined with Kamla in 2010 to form the People's Partnership. And you all wanted to topple the Equidem government in 1970. So it doesn't surprise me. But I just say that to underscore the level of dishonesty and disingenuousness coming from people from NJAC. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, sir. Yes, and Zakia Wadada, I believe she is the head of the Emancipation Support Committee. She would have replaced Kafra Cambon. But you know what's interesting with respect to, as Mr. Yates mentioned, the roofing contractor, right? I have no experience. When you visited his website, nothing on that website speaks to road paving. Reminded me of SIS. No experience in bill and wastewater treatment plan, but you get $1 billion contract. And the same Passad Bisessa, who was bad talking the airport, what it was, right? Talking about the contractors and the high experience, but she had no problem with probably giving contracts to inexperienced entities to pave roads in Tobago, right? Let's start out with make mention of that. Let me just switch this thing here. But on a point to note as well, if anybody has any doubts as to Fali and the TPP's affiliation to the UNC, remember one of Fali's advisors was Ashwood Jack. Remember the same Ashwood Jack from top? Same Ashwood Jack who had aspirations of being chief secretary when Kamala was there. When Jack Warner spent millions of dollars in Tobago to get Ashwood Jack elected as chief secretary, failure, they get 12-0. Right? The PNM handed them the backside. 12-0. Let us not forget that. Chrislyn Moore, and they gave her some big post too. She was part of TOP. Let us not forget that. At one time, she was Justice Minister in the People's Partnership. So when we see all the old players from the TOP who were in bed with the UNC, all Fali has embraced them as advisors and given them big positions. You have any doubts? You feel Ashwood not still in contact with his handlers in the UNC? You feel they're working through them? So they ain't fooling nobody. So when they come to talk nonsense, we don't know. You have embraced everybody from the TOP who was in bed with the UNC. They never left. Cameron probably just kick them out of the bed and tell them lie down on the ground. Right? And now they're trying to see if they can get back on top of the bed. And they see they could do that through Fali. And so they advise him. That's who he paying your taxpayers' dollars to advise him. And so they are the go-between the UNC. That is why you will never hear the UNC say anything about what's happening in Tobago. Bunch up anyway. That's get it say. Crooks, all of them. Fooling nobody. Hello, good morning.
Hey, morning, brother.
Morning, sir. Hi, good man.
The facts of some and things follow. So, as Mr. Yates pointed out and yourself pointed out, just total hypocrisy and ingenuousness. Listen, I watched that debate on Monday, and my TV I was boiling, brother, and it was a brand new TV. I didn't want to mash it about. This TV is only about a month old.
Yeah.
You understand it? It was the one I had before here, I gladly mash it up and go and buy a new one. And you know, when you refer to some of the points he made, you know, he came out and said it clearly before them, you know. When Mrs. Robinson raised when he was harping on the point about whether or not certain sections would be deleted because of the amendments proposed and so on. And she told him, because when you go back to the part of the legislation bill, would mean that it's just simply a substitution of what was there before and what is proposed on the bill. So it's not that the responsibilities and so on will be eroded totally, and you need a new, you know what I mean? You need to spell it out. It's just a simple substitution by verbiage. And he said, well, you know, it appears that the government doesn't want our input, so they might as well go ahead. And right there, I said, Eureka, that is it. They do not want it, they will not support this legislation at all.
Yep.
At all when it comes down to the division. You know, I was going over, doing some homework and things, Mr. Romain, and the may follow along with me. But are you aware that this current parliament, Tobago has the most representation, I believe, ever in its history since independence? Look, Senate. They have an independent senator who is Tobagonian. The president of the Senate is Tobagonian. He's a senator. They have Senator Akos, Senator Islam. In the House of Rep, you have the two female members who are Tobagonian. Then you have the Prime Minister who is a Tobagonian.
Yes.
Even Ian Robinson's 10 years Prime Minister. It was him, Pamela Nicholson, and I believe was child was in the Senate at one point. And I can't recall the other person who was there at the point in time. Right? So, for Tobagonians to claim that they are not being adequately represented, their voices is preposterous. Totally preposterous. And you know who I forgot? Senator Dennis now. You have three. You have four senators of Tobago heritage in the upper house now, right now.
And two on the independent bench. Yeah, two on the independent bench.
Yes, thank you. And 7. And then throughout all the state boards, you would have Tobagonians, little there and so on. Like when we're talking about parliamentary governance and so on, who will be voices to articulate the Tobagonian problem is what they want to remove is the P&M element. As far as they're concerned, they destroyed it with 14-1, and a Tobagonian perspective must never be from the P&M. That's the whole thing. Must never be from the, because you're not saying we hate the P&M, and the most development in the island's history has occurred under the P&M. And that's the facts. What they enjoy now. Good. You know, when you look at the land acquisition matter with the airport, it's he would have told the families who were holding out, hey, stay there, we go back on here. And what did the court say? The court totally rubbished that. And remember, two part of the thing was that they wanted to acquire more land to extend the runways and taxiways and so on. And what did they want to do? They wanted to go and build a route to nowhere to impede the progress of the road. Remember that? And the government was saying, hey, listen, the road was done to that, you know, we didn't want a road, there's a route to nowhere. Nobody was passing and shortcut people. Yes, but the road and design where it was engineered to go had made more sense in terms of the traffic congestion and clearing up and making a egress for vehicles to go. And all that was in the mix there where they attempted to humbug the work of the government. So what had to happen? We had to stop until these matters were clear, because there was injunctive relief handed to them till the decision finally came down. We couldn't go on. We don't know these things, but it is honestly conveniently forgetting that. But you know, when you look at the countries that they quoted in the Caribbean, right?
Yes.
And the budget that they spend for their population side, there are parts of Trinidad and there are parts of Trinidad now as regional corporation control that don't get a budget, and they have much more people than and is a larger area than plenty of the countries you quoted. And their corporation chairman can't raise the voices to get just $1 billion to assist the Buddhists. I just throw that in there, but I am not surprised that was the outcome. But let the dishonest, delusional behavior continue, and I hope that the Tobagonians who really care about their space will do something about. And I'm positive this and in another place, right? If the UNC is so concerned about Tobago's governance and autonomy, why don't they use one of their private member days, either in the Senate, where there's a Tobagonian on their side, or in the House of Rep, and put forward a Tobago, a one-off Tobago referendum still on the issue? They put in the box and radical to show, even though you do have a national presence in Tobago, but you genuinely care about them. How about that? I train all that gauntlet to them, all the bright people like Saddam Hussein and things, come up with a referenda bill just on Tobago autonomy for Tobagonians. And let that be the defining will of the Tobago people. Come on, advance it. Let's see how out of the box and innovative politically and legislatively you all are. Dominic, thanks for the opportunity, my brother. Take care. All the best.
You too, sir. Thank you so much. Always on point. See. Let's see. Hello, good morning.
Hello?
Yes, sir. Morning.
All right, morning, Mr. Romain. Morning to the listeners, callers.
Hold one sec. Hold one sec. Let me just put Jenny on hold. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Good morning, listeners. Again, another segment of facts and stubborn things. All right. You see, the whole unfolding developments that is taking place right now with respect to Tobago autonomy bill, right? And as Jenny rightfully said, Uncle Tom, aka Fali, disgusting, right? Because it goes to show, right, that this individual who was elected under a PDP banner, and then within your tenure in government, you decide to change from PDP to the toilet paper party, also known as TPP, right? So this bill that would have given Tobago the leverage that they needed to enhance their development in Tobago. The godly individual, Uncle Tom, decided that here what? We don't want that, right? So let me try to give the UNC a doorway to get in Tobago, right? But I only hope that Tobagonian people are not that dumb or dotish, because it goes to show that they, you know how they have this kind of behavior, that are we boy and are we girl, right? But what they fail to realize, the last 3 carnivals they had from 2021, is 2021, 22, 23. The last 3 carnivals they had, who would he make up with? The same Trinidad, or they want to cuss, I want to say all sorts of things. And in the words of Ansel Roger, or they take Tobago and go. Take Tobago and go. If they want that, take Tobago and go. Because it goes to show that they do not appreciate anything that Trinidad gives to you all. And it's Fali and them pushing this kind of behavior in Tobago, and the old dinosaurs in Tobago, like the Mother Bernie and the Abamakala, these old heads in Tobago, who continuously pushing this narrative, right? Or they want secession, or they want autonomy, or they want this, or they want that. And as Jenny rightfully said yesterday in her program, what Fale is going out in outside there to seek assistance with, they're going to question you. They're going to question you. Does Tobago alone exist? How are you going to answer that question? When people see in Trinidad and Tobago, Fale, take my advice. If you want assistance, go by yourself. Leave the Tobagonians alone. Go out and you seek any assistance that you want for the autonomy for Tobago. And what they fail to realize, that Tobago cannot stand on its own. For changes to come in Tobago, it has to go through a lot of different channels. The United Nations have to get involved. And this is what people in Tobago who continuously happen on the tail end of Fale's suits, the same suits that they don't want you to come in to make report. They want to come in as a vagrant, a homeless person, while these racial rackets and the Trevor James and all of them looking at the dressing as the masters of colonial days. You understand? But they want you as the citizens of Tobago who elected them to govern your affairs. They want you to look as if you're begging them for assistance, but you elected them for them thing. You understand? And this is the mentality that they want in this country. Right? Fali and them playing the same hymn book, like what UNC is doing in Trinidad here. And they're playing nice, you know. The UNC playing nice because they want to join with the toilet paper party in Tobago. In case if they happen to win the 2 seats, they want to have joint accommodation for both of them. That's what they did in 2010. But I know that some Tobagonians, not all, they that gullible and dotish. But as what Watson rightfully said, it has some of them across there, they don't read, they don't watch news, they don't see. Sorry to say. So they will utilize any means possible, that's Farley and them, right? To play on the minds and to poison the minds about Trinidad and Trinidad and Trinidad and Trinidad. But it's the same blasted Trinidad. When are they in problems? How to come and help all you? Right? 90% of the tourists that they go come from where? But you have to realize that Farley, your days are numbered. Your days are numbered. I challenge Farley now. Call election next year, December. Must you have good days. If you're so faithful about the people in Tobago. You understand? Let me get Jenny a chance to talk with Dominic. I'll love to know this then.
Thank you, Eric. Switch this here. Jenny. Hello? Hello? Yeah, Jen.
Hi. Morning, Dominic.
Morning.
Morning to all also love to listen to Fastest 17. I'm going to give an opinion here. Because when you look at the inception of Farley and the starting of Farley was really Watson Solomon Duke's sidekick. I mean sidekick. Nobody didn't know Farley. Watson Solomon Duke made Farley. And because Watson Solomon Duke had a lot of pressure, he had to treat it to the PSS situation and before the court for rape. He or they would have made a decision to put Farley as the front of the PDP party. Yeah? So it meant to say that Farley didn't really have any experience or knowledge or the ability to be no chief secretary. It would have been Duke, and Duke was basing his experience on the fact that he was at PSA for 12 years. So Farley clearly has shown, and we have seen that Farley does not have what it takes. Not only that, Farley is the perfect candidate for Uncle Tom. Perfect candidate. Get a little opportunity now on power and fight it down and selling out his own. So that's why it's easy for him to say house slave and call somebody who looks like him a house slave. Because if he's pandering to the UNC, and I put the UNC in a little space as like the colonial masters. So you see, the Africans like us, or who we say Africans, they have to perform for the modern day colonial masters, the UNC. Because they want to be in that position. They feel they're better than everybody. They feel they're more superior. They feel they know everything. They have all the money and they can run things. And they themselves suffer from something that I have again given a personal opinion. No self-esteem. Lack of self-confidence. And that's what Farley is already, he has no self-esteem. He has no confidence. So the money that he has is a whole facade. That is why he's behaving like that. He's behaving like a savage. He's behaving like an academic illiterate. And that comes from the fact when you don't have any confidence in yourself, but you have the academic papers and you get position. So Farley don't surprise me, but what is the real crux of the matter here? Because Farley is one person, but he and his wife and his child. Tobago has 60-something thousand people. And I'm just going to set back silence and just continue listening to this conversation that Tobago must be on its own. And Tobago, to Trinidad, Tobago something. And you rightly said, all the oil and gas that built and developed Tobago and developed Trinidad was on land. It wasn't in no Tobago waters. So then, what does Tobago owe us? Because it wasn't the minerals and the gases and all that from in Tobago waters. We're still saying that they want that developed Tobago. It wasn't that. It was what on the land in Trinidad. So if we're talking about separation, because one time it's self-determination, next time it's secession, next time it's independent, next time it's autonomy, what exactly does Tobago want? And as for Farley wanting to go to international bodies to get involved on humanitarian rights, what has Trinidad done to Tobago that international bodies will jump in? Because when they get in, they will see hospitals built, they're going to see schools, they're going to see roads, hotels, and the list goes on and on. New spanking state-of-the-art airport. So for people who went to go to humanitarian organizations for help, when they come and look around, if they do come, they will say what kind of ill treatment these people get in. So that alone is a fast, and it all has to do with the UNC. And I want to ask Tobago people again, are you comfortable with one of we boy leading the theater and has brought nothing of substance back? He's always dressed in the colonial master's clothes and grinning with the colonial master's children. He hasn't brought back nothing to Tobago. It's the same as Duke went out in Dubai and had a conference there and went and embarrassed Tobago people and pull out a Trinidad dollar and talk about blue economy and all that. What came of that? In fact, I think the leaders in Tobago right now, when they go internationally, people just laugh at them. Do you remember the Secretary of Tourism and she crew went to Grenada to show them how to plan a successful carnival? They didn't want anything to do with Trinidad, the land of Mecca of carnival, and all other countries in the world that follow our template. They said no, they're going to Grenada because Tobago's award. They didn't mind using the word Tobago's award at Grenada. A much smaller population than Trinidad. And they went there to bring back spice masks and all that. And then we saw for ourselves, you can account the spice mask people who was there, or the spice band was there. And when you look at local tourism, the first time that made the carnival almost didn't collapse. And when you look at it this year, it's Trinidadians who are Trinidadians went across there to make the Tobago carnival successful. So I ask again, based on what is Farley behaving the way he's behaving? And this is based on him joining up with the UNC. Because when he joined with the UNC, it's the labor movement, them was out there Saturday, was protesting. The same people who tell the UNC corrupt, Kamala corrupt, the thief, telling we today, join together, public officers, or they vote UNC, bring them back into office because they will honor some 10%. Really, the same UNC that they say that lie, that corrupt. So that's what I tell you, when you see, I told Roger and all of them, Uncle Tom, you know, Roger, and he said, Abdullah, Farley, them is the real Uncle Tom, them is the real house Negroes who not sell out African people. Because they don't do nothing for African people. What did Roger do when he became, when he was given in fact the position of President General OWT? What happened? Getting a big salary, not doing the job he was hired in Petrotron to do, you know, but union work. It is alleged $90,000 he was being paid and still being paid. It is alleged. To do what? Because I see people who would have gotten the money when the refinery closed down, they're crying out because they weren't well represented. They would have get some kind of land and something. Where is he on that? Advocating and understanding people who would have gotten the money from when the refinery of the part of Petrotron had closed. And all that was promised. I hear some of them, they're dying. I even heard one of them just recently committed suicide. What is OWTU doing for those people? Are they checking on them? Are they helping them at counseling? Are they paying for counseling? Are they making sure that the families get a basket when the man comes? That they get some kind of money or something when the man comes from OWTU that was paying the money? What will they do for the workers of Petrotron? What has PSA done, even on that Juke, and now comment on Laurie Batiste, during COVID-19, so the PSA members who pay the money? Did we get a hamper? We don't even have sports day. We don't have Queen Show. We don't have no businesses for children. We don't have nothing. All the money is centered around Laurie Batiste and the crew for WhatsApp. What has SWWTU done for the workers? Instead, and he said, had them talking about 12% in a MOA, they signed under when Cadiz was Minister of Transport. But then, is he telling the workers that the MOA, the Memorandum of Understanding, when they talk about 12%, it wasn't completed? Is he telling them who marched on Saturday it was not registered? Because workers down on the port, if the MOA was registered, then he said could have taken the government to court to hold them to pay the 12%. But he have only talking about 12%. What he's doing for custom officers? Is he telling custom officers the options that they have and what to take? Instead, he's talking to them and telling them vote for UNC. I hear some of them walk out the meeting. But you have a couple of them balling, no, we don't want 4%. The 4% is not the issue no more. The issue right now is that the CPRA is going to be up and running or given the green light because they lost that case in the Privy Council. The Privy Council said there's nothing unconstitutional with the government forming the PTRA. Are you telling custom officers they have options that if they want to go across to the PTRA, that to go across to the terms and conditions not less favorable than they enjoy right now? Are you telling them that? Are you telling them that that option is not only for no enforcement unit, that the Custom Act has fixed nothing but no enforcement unit. All custom officers have the same type of rights and the same type of authority like a police officer. So all of them can go across with the same terms and conditions of employment, not less favorable. Or if they want to go into the wider public service, or if they want to take the visa. Is he telling them that? Or have them on the store of Kamla go give them 10% when they come back in? That's what he's telling people. So what use is union leaders like Roche and Lisette and Batiste and them? Look at right now, NGLW generated officers going home at 60. They don't get a pension till they're 65 and that old age pension they get after they work all the years in the public service as tradesmen and women in the public service. Lambert then see it fit when he was a senator sitting down for the UNC in the Senate to fight to make sure that generated officers get a pension. The protest started. The ministry I work in, the girls show all the documents that started. They got a company from Canada to help them to work it out. Names, everything. Nothing was done by Lambert. But today they want to cost the government and talk about vote for UNC. So I end by saying, you see all them Uncle Tom and them who's selling way out daily, and those who never stop coming up without the second track when she called Camille Robinson Regis, Mrs. Camille Robinson Regis, or she has a proud ancestral Indian name, but when you have Camille, you have a slave master name. You see all of them who talking now and telling Fali to apologize, hush all your blasted mouth, because it didn't say nothing there. When Kamla Patel calls Dr. Rolly Black man, and Oreo, all they didn't say nothing. So hush all your blasted mouth now that Fali talk that. Lame talk and say we want, and we continue to fight against, we will continue to fight. We don't need all this to jump in to tell nobody what to apologize. Make Fali keep whatever apology he wants to come in. Because when Vera said Rose went and stand up in the parliament, and the child Dr. Rolly's mother and father, and then saying his father raping mother and he born a rape child and he grew up to be a rapist and the palace again. No, all you who talking all them still a some hush on the blasted mouth. We gonna start up and defend Dr. Rolly because we black we conscious that we black and we proud to be black. All the intellectuals who look like we, all the Uncle Tom and all the Auntie Tom, let we alone. And so they go people. Or let's stand strong because Fali and nothing good for you. Don't make it look as when Drew Crowley say that all they don't read, or they don't watch television, or they know nothing. Or they're bigger and brighter than that. And all they know that don't let Fali lead all they down the wrong road. And at Tobago, don't ever forgive Fali for what he do to all you. He wasn't serious about the amendment because he was not Senate. A minute before, they're going to discuss it in Jersey because there's not the process to do that. He had that in his hand since 2021. If he wanted to amend anything and have any amendments, he would have done it back then. He would have contacted Dr. Rolly, the rights of the Constitution, say, have a discussion, and then add it. You cannot send 8 amendments a minute before on a WhatsApp message. That's why he's so disrespectful, that little Uncle Tom, that low level, low class, no self-esteem individual who just happened to get the position of chief secretary because the man who lead the party decided to put you in front. Now you're looking nice. When they're getting you looking, your belly could touch your back, first the chin and harassment looking, but the money sweet you now. So you could get on and wash your mouth on people. But as I say, if you were serious, you would have done it the right way and send those amendments long before. So that Raleigh could have gone to cabinet, they would have talked about it, and then come in front of everybody and talk. You send it the minute before, say, had no intention, because you know what? You join with the UNC to sell out African people again. People have a blessed money, and then set a blast, and Uncle Tony, and us deal with, but we go deal with them in the right way. 2025, World People's National Movement.
Thank you, Jen. See, yeah, 15 minutes left, folks. 770-1763. We have here. So let me get us here. Let me see. Hello, good morning. Hello. Hello. Hello, good morning. Hello.
Hello, morning, Dominic.
Mr. Chance, morning.
Well, yes, good. I have to make a short thing because today is a little tennis day.
Right.
I just wanted to say that Jenny made an excellent contribution in terms of where we are. But the point I want to make, 2 points very quickly. One is that I agree with having ambition, but your ambition must not exceed your capacity. You see, so that's not just I want to say to far less, Chavez Auguste. I call it far less, not far, it's far less. Far less, Chavez Auguste. Do not allow your ambition to exceed your capacity. Yes, you're going to go back nowhere. It's going to be like pie in the sky. The second thing I want to say, I'm hearing all this discourse about marine borders and marine and what is in the water and all of that. I think I shared it already, and I want to do it on your program as well. But there is a report that came out in 2022. That report was done by an international expert, Gozan and Norton, international marine expert who deals with oil and gas. And that report came out in 2022. And it is recorded on a program called Oil Now. Here's the report. Trinidad and Tobago has 10 years of gas production, according to that report. 10 years. So if it is that Tobago is putting its hopes on what is in the water, what is in the water, they could only live for 10 more years. And that is the reason why you must pay attention to what is happening with the government, the central government, led by Dr. Keith Rowley, and the Minister of Energy and Energy Industries. Because they have moved away because of oil and gas and what you call matured. We have been exploring and so on for 100 years and more. And it's not bubbling up like the asphalt. It is depleting. And so, according to that expert, we have 10 more years of gas. And that is important. Because when you decide to come to the table to talk to Trinidad, what do you bring to the table? There's nothing about equality in that, or what you bring to the table in business. Because that business has a political arrangement. What do you bring to the table? When you bring 10 years, well, what is happening now is that Trinidad and Tobago is pursuing and has successfully pursued cross-border gas. We have potential for 2.7 trillion cubic feet of gas coming from the Manatee, which is on board already. Because we had deunitized the Manatee and the Lorans. So the Manatee is going by itself. And then we have the Lorans to look after, which has 7.3 trillion cubic feet. And then we go to Dragon gas. So our future is linked to cross-border gas. And also, as well, to the MOU arrangements we have had with Barbados and Suriname. If they have gas, there's a potential for gas there, and we have already signed a memorandum of agreement because Trinidad and Tobago has the infrastructure to process the gas, and that has already been done, through Conrad O'Neill, who is the ambassador dealing with those matters in those regions.
So I think it is important in that discourse between Trinidad and Tobago is what you put on the table. The figures that I just called you there are the most recent figures coming from the Gaussian and North, as I told you. And that is a very important thing in those discourse going forward. So I want Farley to know, and I want the people of Tobago to understand that. So this discourse that Farley has them about talking about what happened in the sea. Well, it's for 10 years. So after the next 10 years, what are you going to do? What is the capacity? Do you have a manufacturing sector? Well, it took Trinidad and Tobago 50 years. The manufacturing sector in Trinidad and Tobago started effective in 1974. Yesterday, they celebrated 50 years of the development of the manufacturing sector, started under Dr. Eric Williams and promoted by Professor Ken Julian and later on by George Chambers. 50 years. And we're still on the road to our manufacturing sector. What do you have? So you are better off. You are better off, Tobago, having a unitized arrangement with Trinidad. And brothers and sisters, I love Tobago. And I think we must kind of put that in our heads and understand that there are benefits. Don't try to pull away. As somebody said the other day, the world is working towards coming together. European Union, the African Union, all over the place. All over the place, you are coming together because together you are stronger. Together you are stronger. You have a bigger population. You have a bigger interest. And so people will take you on. You understand? And that is important for Tobago people to understand. As I said, I love Tobago. I want to preserve the union of Trinidad and Tobago. But the Tobagoans must hear the truth. And they must not be fooled by people like Farley and those other apes who want to tell you things that are not really true. Because the reason why they're telling you can go on your own, when they're telling themselves, they're telling you that you have oil and gas in the waters. I went to one maritime, and I just told you, and you can go and see oil. Go on your computer page and look for oil now. And you'll see that the Minister of Energy and Energy Industries, Mr. Stuart Young, on May 2024, he made that statement as well. He was at a big conference and he made that statement. May 30th, 2024. He was referring to that research done by Norton and Deacon and Norton, and he will tell you that Trinidad and the headline is Trinidad and Tobago has about 10 years of gas production, according to that report. So my people of Tobago, we love you, and we want you to understand the facts, and that you're better off with the union of Trinidad and Tobago, and most importantly, just to understand what is the truth and what is the fact, and don't carry yourself into propaganda and armageddon. Thank you very much, Doctor.
Thank you, sir. Hello, good morning.
Hey, morning, Dominic.
Morning, sir.
Thank you again, Dominic. I had a very important staple. That Tuesday and Thursday and Sunday, we the callers really look out for you to be enlightened and to be educated by put forward any facts and where we can find the facts, because you usually quote the source of your facts.
Yes.
You will just quote it just so. Dominic, Kamala Prasad-Bissessar is on Cambridge Analytica steroids now. She's making that push. This is a last chance to get back into governance, because the wheels of justice are turning, but very slow. But it is working, because we have gotten some money from live sport. And that's just a thing of the iceberg, but at least it has been started. And we have gotten back $34 million US from the 27-year-old Piaco scandal that I thought that was dead money. It's gone. There's no way we getting back that. And who is the author of all these things? Now, the same Kamala Prasad-Bissessar. She's the author from day one in the airport thing as the Attorney General. And some years after that, she came back and gave us a Section 34. But after we get up that hard lash for that Section 34, I had given up all hope. All hope I've given up. And thank God for Dr. Rowley, how he adjusted the laws, that he put in things in place, and he reopened certain things and went back. But then you have to not go back in the same avenue that day, because remember, they are a bunch of lawyers, So they know how the law is and whatever. So they would not challenge you to prove that they're innocent. They will challenge, they will put up a defense to get off technically. You tell me I thief it, yes I thief it, but I didn't thief it in the night, I thief it in the morning. So that's how they get off. It's not that they didn't steal. And their supporters don't care. They don't care a damn. They don't have business about that. And matter of fact, most of them is very angry that they shall never have to pay back that money. That Steve Ferguson not have to pay back that money. And the boys. You know, they're very angry that the man had to get back $34 million back from Life Sport. They're angry for them thing. But they're telling us that 1 minute, 2 million, next minute telling you $2.5 million, next one telling you $3 million, that the other general say but thief, and but thief the money and all kind of nonsense. And I was asking them, I said, but where's the evidence and the fact that who has it? I said, so why the lady who bring this up in the first place is hiding? Why she had to run on vacation? And why her subordinates under her, the second in command and the other people them had to sort it out in time for the budget? That it was proven as what as not really input, but what the Ministry of Finance and the Central Bank have said, it was an additional to be added into the account. Simple. She make a whole set of below and then have to go to court to prevent the information from coming out. Now, if she had proper information, she'd have been a state witness. And hear what? You know, the whistleblower legislation will fully protect her, so she will be able to say everything and tell us we'll be able to do money. But she's blocking that. But the people and them that the thing they're telling us different. And because of the ignorance and how they use the Cambridge Analytica, because you notice Kamala is comparing the misinformation that she put. She took the cabinet note, cut it up, take it up to make a story for herself and put it out there. Now the cabinet know that there was a leak. The copies was given to the media. You know, the media never respond to that. Like to say, okay, they respond to what Kamala said, just to make the comparison. This is what they think, but this is what here and they think. You know, the media ain't doing that. So in the minds of people, they still thinking, hey, look at that thing run up to so much money or everything. But the actual cost to build the airport, and that was the question put to the minister. We don't know how much money it costs to build the airport. He put that. Those other costs, which has not been settled because the minister asked you, the cut, to go back around the table with these people because they're presenting the government with those bills to come with something better. Let we share the burden. Because it wasn't Trinidad and Tobago fault that COVID came in and those things. So they have to go through the paper and whatever thing and come with a settlement and think that the government will just pay for you because you had a contractor, right? And the contractor was there idle waiting and, you know, bills running at the same time. So we could understand that, but Kamala didn't say these things. Kamala make it look like the government, when they asked everybody question, he quoted that. And then here it is, and she's saying $400-something million. Like the first thing she said. She said that it was money stolen, and she was comparing it with the Piaco scandal. And then she come back on when Imbut spoke to the media and explained to the media. She came back right after the debunk what Imbut saying, because she knew that the population have a license. She had to respond, and she says incompetence. So I was asking how she reached it. She said it was corruption and money missing and making allegations that the money was stolen. Why she changing the story? And that is what liars do. Liars, because if you make up a lie, I might ask you one question today and tomorrow is a different thing you're telling me, you know. Right? So that is why when police have to hold it for how much days, they have an station here. They ask you a question from one person who asks you a question, and think by that the same question about 4 times for the day. So you back in the cell, the next day they transfer it to another police station, another person, and you ask that one question, and they will find out the truth because when you sleep and you get up, you come in and ask the same question from yesterday. The things in the story has changed. And that's all the police has had to work to build a case and Kamala, because she lies, she can't stick on one point, because when I put something different to her, she can't say it. Just as how they set up Williams and Khan. The man who was being integrated in the court was changing up his story. So when he gets jammed by the lawyer defending these guys and them, he fell down. He had no other choice. And he admitted that what really happened, I always knew the truth came out. So I am saying to the population, you cannot trust anything that this lady gets, because puts out there as the official opposition. You notice that what she doesn't do, the amount of nonsense that Tali has been doing as the official opposition, and the money is given to Fali, and Fali doing the nonsense. She's not asking questions of Fali for those things, but she's coming to tell us about the digital accounts, that the revenue that collected, that on the new system between the Ministry of Finance and the central bank, to drop the accounts, to send it, to put it into the thing, put it up the minister, and the minister will late in the parliament, and then put the budget and those things. You forget that piece of thing, and that was make the problem. But with Fali have one set of questions to answer about public funds, and as the official opposition of Trinidad and Tobago, she must have bring that up. Must have say something in parliament about it to force Fali to respond to what she's saying. But she making up lies, putting it out in the media first, leaking it to the media, telling the media that the government does, and then coming and saying, talking about something that the government, and Imbert have been responding to every nonsense that she's been putting constantly until Imbert leaves. I think it's this morning I see Imbert has support up to now. He see the correction to what Kamala say about the airport, and they have the leak parliament document in front of them. The media has it, and they're just taking it on. And it gives the impression to me as a citizen that this is orchestrated. The same thing with this reporter who talk about Avery Brown. He run quick to bus mark so he could sell paper about Dr. Rowley stepping down and Avery Brown coming up and everything. When Avery Brown made it public that he knows nothing about that, and that hasn't reached yet, because it has not been settled in the PNM, whether Dr. Rowley is officially, I know he said that he's going to step down, but that is, he's saying one thing and officially handing a document that he's stepping down. It's two things. So if you're reporting he's stepping down, okay, but you can't say he thing and handing over to the next one. I thought we were supposed to have a voting process within the party and the what is called them, the bodies and them in the area will nay or yea for Amy Brown, because he must have somebody else challenging to go up there and thing, and which is democracy. Whether they are a little pickering and they think they're fine, and that is very healthy for the party. Not unlike Kamala Prasad, she picks who she wants. So if the constituency put up person A, she comes in and she come with B. And that's what she did in Cuba when Ramona was telling her about the human trafficker. And they're pushing the dog also for making that public because it's damaging to the party. But they make sure the human trafficker come up and, well, he's now sitting in our parliament. They thought it would be, that are dead and done, nobody take it on. But even the American intelligence and them is looking at that too. Because they don't have the full evidence to put before a court to convict him, but they have information. So they just watch them. I would just watch and leave your thing until I could catch you. And basically, but in the meantime, why would you take the chance to put somebody like that in your cabinet? And then you come in and sit down and take the talk about the laws on human trafficking and what she be doing and whatever. You are expert in bringing in people. Where you think you could? You're gonna pass a law to convict yourself. You must say no to vote for it. And that is why that whole side on the opposition will vote for nothing, Because every law that the government tried to make things better, You talk about how much thing PNM, but you see any of them voted for anything to go after white collar crimes? They vote for nothing to go after white collar crimes, but it's don't want to say now to tell us to keep it. Well, if they keep it, bring evidence and look, Italy law, whistleblowing protection that they passed with water down. All the laws are the water down to suit them. And listen, people, when only reading these things from these people and then they take it with a pinch of salt and come and listen to this program with Dominic Roman and tell your friends and tell your family, tell everybody. Whenever they're talking the nonsense and you hear that they're being misinformed, tell them Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays. There's a guy called Dominic Roman on Facebook and he's on YouTube. Tune in and listen to him. And when he starts, and you can pick up your phone and call the person and tell him, hey, these on now, come, tune in. Do that. And let people listen to facts and not be informed. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Right, so it is 9:06, folks. Let me take this last one here and then last call.
Dominic,
Oh, good.
what's going on?
All is well.
Look at boy. Sis, good morning. Hey, Dominic. You see how Saturday Benoit had to pull up on Brian for calling somebody big nose? Look at the kind of things Eric just come to say on your program and feel he's sounding good. But I ain't called for that. I just put it through that in. Dominic, you know Jamaica owner Sanders?
Sandals originated in Jamaica.
Huh?
Sandals originates in Jamaica.
No. They own a Sanders.
When you say Jamaica owns a Sandals, what are you talking about when you say Jamaica? Are you talking about the government of Jamaica?
Yes.
Okay.
Let me tell you. Last year, August, I went take some Crocro. I spent some time at a Sanders. When I walked in the office, but I know how to take my Marco. I see the Jamaican Prime Minister on a wall with the Premier. I asked the young lady, isn't that the Jamaican Prime Minister? She said, yes. I said, what did Petia doing there? She said, well, they own the Sanders. Nice place, Dominic. In Turks and Caicos.
All right, you want me to correct you now?
Do that for me. You know you can do that.
You know who owns Sandals in Turks and Caicos?
Well, I telling you what the girl tell me, you know.
Well, I will tell you who owns it. Guardian Life owns that Sandals. Guardian Group. And as you know, the chair of Guardian Group is Mr. Michael Leachin, who happens to be a Jamaican. All right, but that was owned before Mr. Leachin became majority shareholder of Guardian Group. That is why Guardian Group wanted to invest $500 million in the Tobago Sandals.
Well, as you talk about Tobago Sandals, that's why I talk about that. Next time we speak, I will tell you about the Sandals that they wanted in Tobago.
Okay.
I will leave it there for now.
All right. Right, so we cleared that up. All right, so Guardian Group, Sandals, and I'm sure you all would have heard me say that on more than one occasion, right? Which is why Guardian Group wanted to invest in the Tobago Sandals, along with Massey and along with a couple others. So folks, I had to go. I would love to take more calls, unfortunately, but I'm over time, and I had to head to San Fernando now. But we will chat again on Sunday morning, God's willing. Yeah, we continue the conversation. Lots more to discuss also the decision, the announcement of the Prime Minister that election observers will be coming for the general election. And of course, when you know your cocktail book, you started taking front before in front take you. So Prasad Bissessa has already started to say they don't trust the CARICOM observers and whatnot, impugning the integrity of the CARICOM observers. Philip Alexander have an issue with it. I think Watson Duke has also lodged a complaint that they want international observers, and Alexander talking about the Carter Center, the Jimmy Carter. I mean, mess us with that nonsense now. All kind of excuses. Folks, we will chat on Sunday morning. I said, God's willing, 11 o'clock. We'll continue the conversation. So I wish I could have taken more calls, but as I said, I have to head down to San Fernando now, and you know that traffic when you reach by Cheese Village there. Pressure. So enjoy the rest of the day. As I always say, make it a productive one, and keep safe on the nation's roads. And we will chat again soon. Anan says the recalcitrance is ongoing. So true. So true. Thank you so much, Merle, Dion, others. We'll chat Sunday.